I talked to my friends studying robots in different worlds. There are cultural differences when we discussed why do we need robots. When I discussed with my friends from Korea and Japan, they think of robots more like some machines to support us, just like in the animation Doraemon. But when I talk to my friends from Europe or from North America, they more consider robots as working machines, or even co-workers, or a business machine. The ideas are pretty different. And also in different cultures. There are different languages, different ways to interact with robots, and different lifestyles, meaning the robots need to do different things for people from different cultures. Some early surveys show the credibility of a robot actually is different for Americans and for Japanese. Give a guess. Who gives a higher credit of a robot? Imagine a robot providing some information. Americans or Japanese gives a higher credit to the information provided by a robot. Well, the answer is American. And how about trust on robots? In that study, this comparison between Americans and Chinese, the results showed higher trust from Americans. But how about sense of control and also anthropomorphize? Chinese higher than Americans. Based on this early surveys and studies, we have been considering what are those cultural factors influencing users, humans, mental model of a robot, and what are the factors should be considered when we develop robot technologies. How can we design a robot invoking satisfactory user experience across cultures? It can be a challenge. And research teams in Tsinghua University had stepped forward to study how cultural background can influence people's response to a robot's recommendations. Get back to the RoboCat story. The RoboCat coming from the future were actually sent by the young boy's grandson's son to support the young boy to make decisions. So there are recommendations from a robot. How cultural background can influence people's responses? Are recommendations from the robot more acceptable for people from some culture or not? In this one, research team studied Chinese and Germans. Previous studies have shown Germans have more negative attitude towards social influence of robots than Chinese. And Asian participants, well, China is in Asia, reported lower self-efficacy beliefs than non-Asian participants. So all this can be considered to design human-robot interaction. But when we say interaction, how? Natural language is very important. The robot doesn't have to say your language, but somehow, some way, we can use our native language to interact with a robot. And when we say use our language to interact, there are some differences in communication styles. For Asians, particularly like Chinese, their communication style can be more indirect. To the opposite, some other cultures may prefer direct communication style. How does the communication style influence decision making? If the robot communicates in a familiar communication style, could the communication be more effective? Are users going to like or to accept the robots better? That's the question the first study wanted to test. It was a small study. In a study, the cultural background was considered, Chinese and Germans, and the communication style was considered, implicit or explicit. And for both Chinese and Germans, this study considers their native language and also their second language, which is English. The Germans speak Deutsch. Chinese speak Mandarin Chinese. And the most important thing for the little study is the participants were asked to make some decisions, and the robots will give some recommendations. Then we wait, then we see if those users, those participants, change their decision or not.